Jordan, look at their neighborhood and see that the Egyptian could do it, the Syrians are doing it, the Libyan couldn't do it. Why don't us? They are 85% of the population. Sooner or later, they'll get rid of the Hashemite. Now, the Hashemite are the good friends of Israel for many years, and of the United States. Recently, King Abdullah is not such a good friend. He's taking every opportunity possible to attack Israel in any international arena. One stone was taken from the excavation of the southern wall in Old Jerusalem and brought to the entrance of the Knesset. The chutzpah of King Abdullah, he filed complaint in the Hague court. It's his grandfather's stone, his grandmother's property. He complained that Israel moved a stone in Jerusalem. But we allowed him, we gave him the feeling that he has some saying in Jerusalem. The facts on the ground are that Jordan is bubbling. We hear that. I'm in direct contact with somebody who represents himself as the leader of the opposition in Jordan. He's in London because he really wants his life expectancy to be longer, but I don't know how much power he really represents, but we hear the voices all the time. And sooner or later, Jordan will have the same changes, and Jordan will become Palestine. Because once there are no Hashemite, 80 or 85% of the population will make it a Palestinian state. If we will watch it from the arena and do nothing, it will become a Muslim Brotherhood or Hamas state. Exactly as what will happen if we will give the Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria, and immediately it will become a Hamas state, because they are the majority. The reason that Abu Mazen is not running for election, because he knows that he will lose. The Hamas are the majority there, as they were in Gaza. If we will do nothing, Jordan will turn to a Hamas state, or worse, an extension of Iran. But if we anticipate it, and we will use the fact that this is the Palestinian state, and we will invest more than $10 million a year for Hasbara, but we will launch a large campaign, international campaign, congratulating the Palestinians for having a state after so many years. The Palestinian state is born, Jordan is Palestine, and Palestine is Jordan. This is not me who said it all the time, it was King Hussein, the father of King Abdullah. Now what about if this will be recognized as the Palestinian state, and we will be strong enough and not suicidal to prevent the creation of a Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria, then the solution. The idea is that Israel will annex Judea and Samaria, the Jordan will be the border, but we always are asked, and what about the population? Right. We don't want the Arab to be majority in Israel, the demographic threat. The solution is embedded in a very old UN document written by UNSCOP, United Nations Special Committee on Palestine, that worked in Israel in May 1947 and gave the draft for the 181 resolution to the General Assembly in November 29, 1947. And UNSCOP recommended a Jewish state and an Arab state, and they realized that in the Jewish state, at that time, were 600,000 Jews, that's all. Now we are 6 million. 600,000 Jews in the what to be the Jewish state in Palestine, in Israel, and 400,000 Arabs in the Jewish state, not in the Arab state, in the Jewish state, 40%. And they recommended that the Arab in the Jewish state will be the residents of the Jewish state and the citizens of the Arab state. A differentiation between citizenship and residency. It's not ideal, but it's better than any of the other suggestions that are on the table. Certainly the two-state solution that is suicidal for Israel. So if we can make the Palestinians who live in Judea and Samaria residents of Israel, they should pay taxes in Israel, enjoy education and health and national insurance in Israel, and vote for the parliament in Amman, exactly as the Arabs in East Jerusalem are doing right now. They are residents of Israel. They have blue ID card, but they are not citizens. They don't vote to the Knesset. They vote for the parliament in Ramallah. I want the Palestinians in Judea and Samaria to have Israeli ID card. They will be residents of Israel, exactly like green card holders in the States. They don't vote for the Congress. They enjoy the rights of residence here. We will allow them to go everywhere to do whatever they want, but they will vote for the parliament in Amman. They will be citizens of the Palestinian state in Jordan, in Amman. In Amman. Amman will be the capital of the Palestinian state. And that's concession, because I remember that at least part of Jordan was the inheritance of the 2.5 tribes. We're still looking for them. They were lost among the other 10 tribes long ago. But if this formula can be implemented, we will not have peace. I will not trying to have any delusions here. The roots of the conflict are not territorial. If it was a territorial conflict between Jews and Arabs in the land of Israel, it was solved long ago. Since 1922, we are trying to divide the land with the white paper of Churchill that allocated 3/4 of my homeland to the Arabs. That was the first attempt to divide the land. It always ended up in a bloodshed or a war, because it's not the disease, it's not the real characteristic of the conflict. It is a religious war, it is a holy war, and these are extremely difficult to solve. It has some national component, some territorial excuses that are used time and again for the next eruption or so, but the roots of the conflict are religious. For the Muslims, the land of Palestine forever will be a holy Muslim land, a Waqf land. And no Muslim is allowed to recognize the right of any infidel over such a land. And for me, this is my homeland. So it's written in the Bible. This is the promised land. I'm there not because I'm a refugee. I'm there not because I need the mountains in Judea to defend Tel Aviv. It's my homeland. So written in the Bible. So it is a religious conflict, ideological clash.
Start your speech with that line.
I thought it's.
That shouldn't be at the end. It should be at the beginning.
I thought that's very common among the people here. I don't expect peace after the implementation of Jordan-East Palestine, but this will allow containment of the conflict, reduction of friction, a large-scale plan to resettle refugees that is very long needed. If we can take one step, if United States can take one step to solve the conflict, it will be closure of UNRWA and allow UNHCR to treat all the refugees. It's with your tax money that they keep them in the refugee statehood for 63 years. They are educated to hate you, to fight against you with your dollars. The most effective single step would be closure down UNRWA. And of the UN, allow the UNHCR to deal with them. UNHCR, you know, is a lousy organization. United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is a very bad organization. They had 40 million refugees since Second World War, and they lost all of them. On the other hand, UNRWA is a very prosperous organization. They started with 600,000, now they have 5 million. They cultivate refugees. If we'll allow UNRWA to treat all the refugees in the world, within 10 years we will have 500 million refugees all over the world. The very effective step will be to close down UNRWA and allow them to... And the only difference between UNRWA and UNHCR is the definition of a refugee. For the UNHCR, a refugee is a refugee for 3 years. By then he has to be resettled. For UNRWA is for eternity. Forever. Second, 10th generation, whatever you want. So there's no way to solve the problem if you don't close them. I'm not suggesting that we will be able to bring peace to the area, because this is a religious war. But we will be able to contain the conflict. This is a realistic goal for such long-standing conflicts, and maybe with generations, with education, with tolerance, with reduction of friction, we will be able to have peace one day, not in the near horizon, but taking the dictation for a Palestinian state in the heartland of Israel is immoral and suicidal for the state of Israel. Thank you very much.
Let's take some questions for Dr. Eldad.
To take it from a reactive position, because Israel's been playing this reactive role all along the way. How can Israel go into a proactive position and get back to where they should be? In other words, cutting off electricity, stop supplying sewerage, boycotting, etc.
That's technical. These are all tactical and technical measures that we can of course take, but the only step that will be measured against a unilateral declaration of a state must be annexation of Judea and Samaria. It's the only step that changed the status of the land. If they will say, this is my homeland, and we will cut electricity, we will eventually have pressure and give them back the electricity. But the only step that is on the same level of attitude toward the legal issue of the land, if you think that this is your, and you declare it your state, Israel declares immediately that this is part of the state of Israel. By the way, it's tragic. For 43 years, the Palestinians are claiming Judea and Samaria and Gaza. Israel never went to the United Nations and said, we claim the land. We only said this is not occupied territories, these are disputed areas that the final fate will be decided in agreement. We have to claim it. And then they claim it, we claim it, perhaps some people will advocate to share it, I will be against it, but we must balance the demand for the land with equivalent demand. And the way that a sovereign state demands a land is by annexation. We will annex Judea and Samaria. This is the only step that is measurable against their step. Of course, we should put financial sanctions and all that just to put pressure on them, but the legal status will be changed by Israel as it is changed by them.
Where we stand as Jews, go to take a trip to Kever Rachel. Go to Rachel's tomb. Rachel's tomb. Go to Shechem, where our forefather Jacob is buried. Go to Hebron.
What's the question?
The question is, we have become the laughing stock of the world. Our forefathers were buried in the land of Israel. And to get there, if you don't have IDF defense, you're dead. They've constructed these insane barriers. You feel like you're in the Matrix. The question is, I, as a teacher of 25 years in LA, of course I'm a citizen of Israel, I was in the IDF, I live in Kfar Tapuach, and I know you know where that is. And when I used to go to Shechem, I used to go in an army vehicle 6 inches wide with plada, with steel, so they wouldn't kill me, so I could say Tehillim on the tomb of our patriarch Joseph. My suggestion is, it's upside down. Anyone that doesn't have self-respect will never get respect from anybody else. My question is, this is all, my question to you is, you've got Smolanim, leftists, communists, PLO, you've invited them into, not us Americans, you, the Israelis. You allow them to work with Hamas. As far as I'm concerned, you are enabling the death of Israelis. And I don't hear, my question is, what, you talk about annexation, that's a pipe dream. No one's going to believe that annexation. My question is, what will you do to arouse in Israelis the feeling that this is my land, not because of the United Nations, because God gave it to us, period.
It's everything you said is right, and I share, and I'm shared. It's not true that nobody is talking about. We are talking about.
What did Bibi say about God giving
Bibi is not, but I'm not his speaker. Bibi is not saying it because he's too weak. He knows that you are right, but he will never say it. He used to say it when he was the head of the opposition. Now he's no longer saying it. But the only solution that I can give you is that we must change education in Israel, because the young generation that grows out of the general school, it's a little better in the religious school system in Israel. They know at least why we are there. But the average graduate of a general school in Israel don't know about Me'arat HaMachpelah, the cave of the patriarchs, never visited it, and really regard the Bible as an ancient document that have no meaning to him right now. The way is through education. I can speak about it in the Knesset, but if we will not teach our children differently, we will lose the next, the third, and the fourth generation. We will have no support from those who are not religious in Israel. We need them. They are the majority.
Berkeley and be leftists at Berkeley.
Victoria.
Yes, why the Knesset is not making a stronger attempt to expose the illegal buildings of a lot of the Palestinians going on. Go after the Jews there if they don't pay their taxes. So I'm not sure if you can enlighten us why there is no real recourse after the Palestinians who are building all over the place. I just came back and you see the black towers on every single building.
But only a minority in the Knesset reflects this phenomena in its all extreme measures. It's some part of the Likud, some part of Israel Beitenu, which is Lieberman, and of course all the National Union, which I belong to, in the opposition. We initiate discussions in some Knesset committee to deal with it, but the problem is that these illegal buildings are protected by the Minister of Defense, Ehud Barak, and backed by Netanyahu. He doesn't want to destroy a single Arab house because he wants to avoid pressure from the White House. He knows that if he will try to destroy all the Arab illegal houses in Judea and Samaria, he will have tremendous pressure. When he tried to build in Jerusalem, he was terrible. He got terrible blow. Building in a sovereign state, part of Israel, part of Jerusalem, to build a Jewish neighborhood there, delicate relations with the United States suffered a terrible blow when Vice President Biden visited us and took it as a personal insult that when he was there, Israel decided to build a Jewish neighborhood. When we try to destroy Arab illegal building, we immediately are called to the State Department. We are told that this is counterproductive to the peace process. We should do it. We should do it time and again until the world will get used to the fact that this is a law enforcement country, and if somebody will build illegally, we will destroy it. We will have difficulties with the first 100 houses, but after the first 2,000, we will have no longer.
Troy.
Doctor, you described Obama to Netanyahu that he threatened to veto, to withhold the veto.
Not to veto, yes.
To withhold the veto unless Netanyahu took or failed to take or took certain actions on the world stage. To me, that sounds like extortion. And what is being done to educate Americans as to that extortion threat from the president? And I think that if Americans knew about that extortion threat, that at least American Jewry would put pressure on Obama. So what is being done to educate Americans on that threat?
I was trying to speak about it to all the American congressmen and senators that I met about 10 days ago, on briefings of Frank Gaffney and CPAC in the Congress. I was speaking about it on CBS. Unfortunately, they took another sentence that was more relevant to them, even though it was still important to the issue. What I was able to say on CBS was that United States as a superpower can do more if they really wanted to prevent the Palestinians from taking such steps. We need loudspeakers. If I had $100,000, I would put an ad in New York Times telling this exactly to the details, with the dates of the conversation between the White House and Netanyahu's office. But we need loudspeakers, and loudspeakers takes money because we try to invest in PR. Not enough. We don't have enough ways to reach the main channels of the media here, and I wish I could do more.
Paul.
Can you tell us if you considered this? Israel is being asked to sacrifice something of tremendous strategic importance, namely land, in exchange for something that can be revoked within 20 seconds, namely peace. If Iran is allowed to continue to pursue her nuclear ambitions, if Syria is allowed to continue to make mischief in Lebanon, if Turkey moves closer and closer to becoming a totalitarian Islamic state, how exactly does Israel's sacrifice of land contribute to regional stability?
I mean, this is what we are saying all the time, and Netanyahu used to say it loud and clear, and Lieberman is saying it, that he gives all the analysis of the previous examples of Israel withdraw from Lebanon, from Gaza, and that it only created huge terror bases. And he said that unless we will have all the assurance that it won't happen in Judea and Samaria, we will never agree to that. But he also said that yes, we are ready to have a Palestinian state that will be demilitarized. Demilitarized state is the next volume after Cinderella and I don't know, fairy tales. There isn't such a creature in the world unless it's voluntary, taken upon by the Vatican decided to be demilitarized. Good for them. But if a state like a Palestinian state, God forbid if they will have, in Judea and Samaria, will decide that they want to ignore this peace agreement that dictates them to be demilitarized, What we see under Philadelphia route, the border between Egypt and Gaza, it's less than 10 miles. It's 14 kilometers. And in these 14 kilometers, there are 600 tunnels. It's like a Swiss cheese. There are more tunnels than no tunnels there. The same thing will happen under the Jordan River, and weapons will smuggle through from Syria through the desert in Jordan to the West Bank. There isn't such a thing as demilitarized. So my problem is not that they all know that Israel should never accept such a state in the heartland of Israel, but that under the pressure, the external pressure of the European, of the White House, a Prime Minister of Israel from the right was ready to say, yes, I'm ready to accept it. That's the tragedy, that we do not have Prime Ministers that are strong enough to hold to their declaration, to their promises to the voters before the election, to prevent the creation of a Palestinian state. Once they are in duty, they are ready to hug and kiss with everyone who advocates such a state.
Over here, yeah.